Thank you for coming. My name's David Sandalo. I'm at Columbia University, and we are tremendously excited about this group of panelists assembled here. We have remarkable expertise on the topic of energy efficiency, and the only problem we have is that we have only 45 minutes in which to learn all the remarkable things that these people know. So I'm going to start us off, but I'm going to be very brief because of really the remarkable expertise on this panel that I want to get to. I just want to report one fact about energy efficiency from my country, the United States of America. In the United States of America today, our refrigerators are about 4 times as efficient as they were in the 1970s, which means it takes about 25% of the energy to cool a cubic foot or meter of space in our refrigerators as 40 years ago. And if you replaced every single refrigerator in the United States today with a refrigerator from the 1970s, it would add about 7% to our electric load in the United States. And that is the equivalent in the United States of roughly 60 to 70 medium-sized power plants. So simply by improving the energy efficiency of one appliance, the refrigerator, in the United States, we've avoided the need to build 60 to 70 power plants. And the opportunities for energy efficiency are so big that lots of us who work in this field we call it the first fuel. It is often the cheapest way to generate power, and that's why it's so important that we have this panel here today. We are so short of time that instead of introducing each panelist individually, I'm just going to let them introduce themselves. And I think I'm going to start down at this end because we're extremely honored to have with us, starting down at this end, senior official from the German government. And let me pose this question to each one of our panelists. And if you would introduce yourself and then just say in about 2 minutes or less, tell us what you do with respect to energy efficiency and what your organization does with respect to energy efficiency, and that'll just get us going. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Thorsten Herder, and I'm Director General of the German Ministry of Economy and Energy. And we, since the election more than a year ago, have started to build up energy efficiency as what we call it, second pillar of the Energiewende, of the energy transition we do in Germany. We're not too bad, I would say, in energy efficiency, but it has not this high, I would say, positive effect. You don't look at that. You see a windmill and you think it's good or it's bad, but you cannot see that energy efficiency. You can see your refrigerator. Most probably you buy a new one and put the old one in the cellar. Both are running. So you have another problem to tackle. So what we've done last year in December, we decided on a national action plan on energy efficiency for the first time ever in Germany. And we really made it to the second pillar of our Energiewende. And that is a big step forward. And what we not do, and I can only tell you that's, I think, the way forward. We do not look for obligations for somebody to press to do something on energy efficiency. We do sell it as a business model because we say you save energy, you save money, and I can come to that later on, what we have to do in order to make that happen. But the people have to be convinced that energy efficiency saves money, helps their budget, and then they will act. For that you need transparency and things like that, coming to that later. But this national action plan on energy efficiency is something every country should have in order to really put it to the second pillar of everything you do on energy policy.
Thank you very much. Next class.
Thank you, David, and I would like to thank the organizers of the World Future Energy Summit. This is my second time here, talking again about energy efficiency as well. Last year we talked about technology.
And you want to just quickly introduce yourself and your organization? Yeah.
And I work with the Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. It's based in Cairo, and we work with the Arab states on energy efficiency planning and also renewable energy planning. So we have 2 hats, but in terms of our mandate is to work with our member states to create a suitable environment for energy efficiency investments And so we do it via initiating policy dialogues, via monitoring the progress of our member states, and via technical capacity building and technical standards in the field. I will be happy to comment later on, but we have, through our monitoring tools, we are looking at the trends and how they are actually changing in the Arab region. And there are very interesting findings so far happened from 2013 to 2015, and I'm happy to elaborate on these in the next sort of round of discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarek. Martin.
My name is Martin Hiller. I'm the Director General of REAP. REAP stands for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Partnership, so I'm formally entitled to talk about energy efficiency. We see that as smart energy, actually, because we think it's two sides of one coin. We work in two different strands, if you want. One is that we seek startup companies and medium-sized companies that offer smart energy solutions in developing countries, in middle-income countries and lower-income countries. And we finance their approach to private investors. They need preparation, they need to shape up in order to be able to go to private investors with some kind of idea or possibility to actually access capital and then really grow. And we observe that very clearly, what's happening there, in order to learn and understand what this individual case can mean for the sector, and we feed that back to both the investment community and the policymakers. And our second leg is on open data and open knowledge, where we think that modern, very, very modern, very new, cutting-edge methodologies of data management offer a huge opportunity for energy efficiency and for smart systems.
Thank you. Saif Al-Kabasi.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. My name is Saif Al-Kabasi. I am the Director General of the Regulation and Supervision Bureau. I am responsible for regulating, supervising the safe and economic water, wastewater, electricity in the region of Abu Dhabi. Through our work, we are regulating the sectors, starting from the generation, transmission, and distribution networks. We've done lots of initiatives in the energy side, management, energy efficiency. We are working together with the policymaker, which is the Energy Authority, and the other players in the market to promote the energy efficiency, and we have a couple of initiatives. I welcome all of you, and it will be a great opportunity if you visit our stand, where you can see augmented reality to show you our initiatives in the sector for the energy efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you. Toyota-san.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kazu Toyoda. No connection with Toyota family. I am a CEO and chairman of IEEJ, Institute of Energy Economics in Japan. It's a think tank on energy and environment. What we are doing is four things. First, we make economic analysis, well, covering every kind of things, and so including energy efficiency. And two, we try to formulate a sort of a study group consisting of mostly business people and people from academia, and try to have new ideas for many policies, including energy efficiency. And then we provide a policy recommendation to the government, or strategy recommendation to companies. And also we try to belong to a member of advisory committee for government. And so by doing that, we could realize what we think as a good ideas. And basically three points are quite important. I think in order to promote energy efficiency, first, regulation is important. But secondly, we have to have incentives in order to shorten the investment recovery time. And three, now increasingly use of IT, information technology. And these are the three elements for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mohammed Al-Thani.
I am engineer Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I am engineer Muhammad Al-Ta'ani. I am the general manager of the Arab Renewable Energy Commission. This new establishment, and it's belong to the Arab League. And in Arab Renewable Energy Commission, we believe that the personal behavior regarding water, energy, and environment not that good, and we have high consumption for everything in the Arab countries. And we believe that we should shift in the way to reflect the civilization that move everywhere in the world. That leads to the smart solution and to depend more that how this solution should reflect from home to the area of work, and to lobbying our government, which we take the initiative, for example, for homes, smart home appliances or smart home management. Also to push the policy regarding the Arab countries to be more active and to take care about energy efficiency, because I think one time 3 years ago I was in Germany. They think about the smart wash machine, and this is to minimize water consumption and at the same time to minimize energy consumption. And if we think just we are all country, despite my country is non-oil country, to have more consumption, this is not good for civilization. Also, it's limited from our religion. Thank you.
Last and definitely not least, Stéphane Legentil.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Stéphane Legentil. I'm the CEO of a company that is called Etihad Energy Services, or Etihad ESCO. So we are based in Dubai, and we are, in fact, a company owned by the Dubai government. We were formed to address one of the, I would say, actions that the Dubai government wants to do on their buildings, because there was a study that was made by the Supreme Council of Energy in Dubai showing that there is a huge opportunity to save energy in the Dubai buildings. So they created Etihad with the objective to do projects to save energy in the buildings. We act as a project management organization, making the link between building owners and energy services companies, so ESCOs. So we work on a public-private partnership format. So we organize projects that are then taken by the private sector to improve the buildings of Dubai. So our objective is, well, there is an estimated potential of 30,000 buildings in Dubai that can be retrofitted until 2030. There are currently 120,000 buildings existing in Dubai, and lots of savings can be made. The first project that we've been doing show that there is a real potential there for savings.
Well, thank you. So there's a lot of information that we already have out, but let me, before we start talking about themes, I want to ask this question. I think our audience here has got a lot of expertise, and the people who come to this conference tend to know a lot about these topics. And so I just want to ask the panelists to provide us with some piece of information, something new that you think at least a lot of people in this audience might not know. Something that they're going to walk away with and say, oh, I'm glad I came to the session because I didn't know it before I walked in the door. So good luck to each of you, providing something new. That's your challenge. And let me go in the exact same order, start down at the other end. And the good news for you is there's not going to be many way of voting to determine whether or not you were successful. But let's try and provide something new to each of the members of the audience.
Something new for you may be perhaps that auctioning systems or bidding procedures, like we have it here in the UAE, and we all know about that 100 megawatt solar, which won the bid by 5.8 US cents per kilowatt hour. That also works for energy efficiency, because that does one thing. You have the search function in the market. If you think about certain incentives and you give those the incentive, which need the lowest incentive for the biggest amount of savings, then everybody is going to search for those very efficiency projects. So that is something we introduced now in Germany, and we have a lot of discussion on that, and the search function already started, so people are looking for real energy efficiency projects. So bidding, auctioning, not only for power generation, also for energy efficiency.
And just a quick follow-up question about that. Who's doing the bidding, who's doing the buying, and who's doing the selling in these auctions?
Well, the bidding is done by companies or individuals. You can do that, but now it's going into details in an open bidding process or in a closed bidding process, meaning you say you do it for a certain branch or for a certain technology, or you say it's completely open to everything. And then that, of course, has to be investigated, has to be measured, and we have installed an authority who's going to judge that and who's going, of course, also to look whether that which was promised is held at the end of the day. So there are some details in it, but that, of course, you have to install with it. But it works.
Well, thank you. Dr. Mtira.
Thank you, David. From the point of our work in the region, and for those that are interested in the sort of how the markets are evolving, at least in the MENA context, there are at least some interesting trends that's happening. At least sort of our reading of the situation, we see positive market signals for uptake of energy efficiency investments, and they are driven by a number of factors. First of all, in the last 2 years, we have seen the largest sort of commitment towards subsidy removals in many of our member states. 6 Arab states have actually nearly sort of radically changed the energy pricing or committed to a roadmap of energy pricing reform. Egypt, Tunisia, Jordan, Morocco, and even Yemen and Sudan as least developing countries. They might have done it abruptly and the reform failed, but at least 4 are on the right track in this direction. So as a result of this, we see that certain industries, the case for energy efficiency investment seems to be very sort of strong right now, like the cement industry in Egypt, the cement industry in Tunisia, and other market actors. The second development we see is that even in countries where the price signals are not strong, like in the GCC, for example, if you look at the price signals at the consumer ends, there are certain sort of measures that have been in place that have created good market, especially in the lighting. Efficient lighting, we were saying that efficient lighting is finally seeing the light. So surprisingly, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Bahrain are the largest growth market for LED lights, despite the fact that the price signals in terms of electricity consumption is not out there, it's not attractive. But still, these markets are growing as a market for efficient lighting. So these trends are actually transforming the market. So again, price might be a barrier, but it's not always the case.
Thank you very much. And did I understand you to say that the move towards removal of subsidies started a couple of years ago? And is it intensified with the drop in oil prices in the past 6 months?
Yes, I mean, especially last year, we have seen like Tunisia, Morocco, and Egypt have taken a sort of a leap steps in terms of price reforms at the consumer end.
Martin.
David, I'll bring a different example than the one I mentioned to you before, if I may. We were, REAP, my organization, was funding the development of voluntary standards for fridges and freezers for the West African region a couple of years ago. The situation with fridges and freezers in West Africa is an interesting one. There are European recycling companies who take fridges and freezers in Europe back, and we as consumers in Europe have the opinion that these go dismantled and being put together into something else. But in fact, there's a lively trade, and I'm not saying all of the companies do that, but some have a lively trade and sell second or third hand fridges and freezers to Western Africa, and it's a big market. That means that Western African countries get substandard products for a price that's almost equivalent to new fridges and freezers. So I'm not going to have any judgment about that. I'm just going to say that Western African countries weren't quite happy with that. And one of the negative effects is, of course, that the pull on the grid of an old-fashioned fridge or freezer is higher than of a modern, more efficient one. We helped to develop these voluntary standards, and Ghana was the first country to implement those standards, take those, adapt them, and put them into a mandatory legislation for Ghana. They needed to come up with incentive schemes for the traders who were actually depending on these fridges. But what is really interesting is the idea in Ghana behind that with establishing this focus on modern, new, energy-efficient fridges, they're now establishing an assembly plant of an international company in Ghana. A second one, I think, is coming too. So they're having a drive, and eventually one Ghanese high-level official told me, well, eventually they want to attract a full manufacturing industry into Ghana. So it's energy efficiency as a tool for an industrialization drive in a developing country.
If you'll permit me, that reminds me of one of my favorite energy efficiency programs that I've heard of in the world is in Mexico, where there was a program to urge people to throw away their old refrigerators. And they had an advertising campaign which was throw away your old one. And in Spanish, the word for old one is viejo. And it has a double meaning, which is your old husband. And so it was extremely popular program, this big program to throw away your old one. And the women of Mexico apparently liked it a lot. So.
I don't think that worked in Ghana like that, but they had an incentive program for customers as well. They needed to really drive the new market.
Kabasi.
I would like to share a bit of our experience in Abu Dhabi here. With the huge growth and demand, you can see in Abu Dhabi in 2000 the demand was about 3.3 gigawatt, and in 2011 it's increased more than 11 gigawatt. And this increase shows us 10% per year. There is a tremendous pressure on us, on the sector, to find alternative way for energy efficiency rather than building a new capacity. For that reason, we in the Bureau, or the Regulation Supervision Bureau, and our PowerWise office has conducted many initiatives and pilot projects. One of them is demand-side management through controlling the chillers installed in the city. They took a sample of few buildings, high-rise buildings. They installed an equipment on the chillers to control the time of use during the peak hours. They managed to reduce the temperature for a couple of hours during that peak period, and they're able to shave the peak. The other initiatives they done is smart metering, in which they install a meter in the main metering coming in a sample of villas for the residentials, and they have a display unit available to the residents of the premises, and in which they can see and monitor their consumptions in the premises, and they are able to also make some saving or managing their consumptions in an efficient manner. The third one is the home makeover project, in which they select about 10 villas. They make a visit to the residents, they audit them, and they offer some guidance to the owners whether they can improve their AC by replacing it or maintaining it in a proper manner, replacing the lights by LED, installing a thin film on the glass, checking the insulation and the walls, and that also has dropped down the consumptions. And already we work it out with the distribution companies, and we managed to give them some incentives like payback to them for the money they save from that improvement in their premises. We managed to work out with the distribution company so we can pay them back whatever saving they done. So we feel the energy efficiency, there is a big drive for it, and we are working closely with the policymaker in trying to establish a regulation for it. And thanks once more for our PowerWise office because they done a very good initiatives and very good effective projects.
Thank you. And just a clarification, does your regulatory authority perform all of those functions?
We, as a regulator, took the initiatives to help the distribution companies to drive that initiative with the customers. We done it as a pilot project in order to establish some regulatory framework. But it's not a norm that we do these things, just to come with the guidelines and codes.
Thank you. Toyoda-san.
First of all, I would like to emphasize that nobody would oppose to promoting energy efficiency. Energy issues are very much contentious. Nuclear, some people are concerned with safety. Fossil fuel, some people are concerned with greenhouse gas. And renewable energy, some people are concerned with cost, but energy efficiency, nobody would oppose. I think that's a very unique thing for energy efficiency. Something new, I'd like to give you some numbers. I think that might be helpful. Energy efficiency is good for 3 areas. One is energy security, one environmental contribution, 3 energy cost, so economic efficiency. And as for the energy security, if you think about China and ASEAN, 20 years ago, they were exporters of energy, but now they are importing. I mean, the importing ratio for China is 55% and ASEAN 45%, but in 20 years, they would increase their importing ratio up to 75% or 77%. But if they can improve their energy efficiency, they can reduce their import ratio. So this is good for importing country. And so energy security is the first thing. And secondly, environmental issue. 1990s, that's usually the basis for us to discuss the climate change issue. And we emitted 24 gigaton at the time. And by 2050, probably the number would go up to 45 if there is no improvement of energy efficiency. But by having energy efficiency, which is available at this moment in terms of technology, it goes down to at least the level of 1990. And so 24 gigawatt again. And so 450 ppm scenario is not easy, but I think energy efficiency would save the planet. I think that's for sure. The third, energy cost. I think Japan is one of the most energy efficient country. And if we say the amount of energy for Japan is 100%, the bad news for Abu Dhabi is it's 300. So 3 times less energy efficient. But the good news is you have a big room for you to improve your energy efficiency. And it's difficult for us to move ahead for Japan. But by using or introducing the information technology, we are proposing that over the next 20 years, we could improve our energy efficiency further by 20%. And so we need new technology. We have to compare our notes, and we have to adopt new technology which is available in other countries. But energy efficiency is very good for energy security, environment, and reduction of energy cost. Thank you.
Thank you. And your country is one of the most energy efficient in the world, and it was for many years, and then you had this huge loss of electric power from the nuclear sector, which forced you to be even more energy efficient. Just to put you on the spot a little bit, as other countries look to Japan as a model, off on energy efficiency. Is there any one or two pieces of advice that you would offer for countries that want to improve their energy efficiency based upon Japan's successes?
Well, yes, I think probably the biggest reason why Japan is energy efficient is simply we don't have a meaningful amount of energy. It's energy poor country, so that's why we have to. But I think in order to promote energy efficiency, regulation is important, but at the same time, incentive is also important. Because if you try to buy more energy efficient refrigerator, perhaps it's more expensive than a traditional one. And so you think about how long it takes for you to recover your investment. And so if you can provide incentive, you can shorten the period of investment recovery. And so in that regard, in order to promote efficiency, yes, regulation is important, but at the same time, incentive is quite important.
Thank you. Engineer Altani.
Yes, after we listening to the experience of Germany and Japan, I think I can define the energy efficiency as the power of power, because in Arab countries, I focus in Arab countries because we have many bad habits, maybe before us in the United States, but they shift to energy efficiency later on. And that's why through the Arab Renewable Energy Commission, we think about the initiative of green generation. And this initiative has been adopted by Jordan government. That means it should be in the syllabus of education from the childhood. And I promise you, if this totally supported by our government, that means within 10 years, we'll reach the energy efficiency what we're looking for. Also, in this initiative, we put like a golden rule for that. For every square meter, maximum energy consumption not pass more than 2 kilowatt hour. And for example, if I have an apartment, 150 square meter, in total, my electricity bill not exceed 300 kilowatt hour. And that's why when you're going, for example, for any building to make any study for energy efficiency, you can directly evaluate that. Also, it's not, these countries are much more power than we are not. We should look to these techniques and how to start our monopoly regarding the energy efficiency. I think myself working in the field of renewable energy more than 25 years, and I am the only in the last now for renewable energy, because many hungry for investment and they are not specialists in the field of renewable energy. And also this is one mission for Arab Renewable Energy Commission that to classify, to make accreditation for all companies working on renewable energy, and also to push many people for technology transfer and know-how transfer from modern country working on renewable energy and energy efficiency. Energy efficiency, it's the mark of civilization, and if you just make this extra, this is for nothing. We should see in the Arab country something that this is the main sign. I highly appreciate United Arab Emirates for the way of thinking for smart cities, because when I am in the plane, I see there is a new capital for Abu Dhabi, and this is a good example for smart cities in Abu Dhabi. And what's happened in any Arab country, we should repeat this in other countries. Thank you.
Are there a few technologies that you think are especially important in Arab countries, like, technologies that you think will make the biggest difference for energy efficiency in this region?
Yes, I think in Arab countries, we should think regarding smart in everything. Renewable energy, I didn't see up to now a real start, and it's like monopoly, it's like show, something accessory, like moda. And this is not in reality. We should focus on some we have in hand, because, for example, the existing building, there is a big problem for that. And when we think about the new building, we should take care about how to make this building safe energy building. I will give you, for example, example from my country. When any Jordanian people want to start his own home, he, for example, think about 200 square meter, and he keep, for example, 70 square meter for guests, and within 1 year he cannot receive any guests. And we are like big families. We have big home for the big families, and for what we save this kind of area. We should think about how to change our behavior, how to remove our bad habits. Then there is no difference between our brains and the brains in for example, in Western Europe or in Japan and Korea. I will tell you, one month ago, I was, the last sentence, I was in a smart grid with Korean colleague in Amman. They make incentives to the people, instead of using lift, to use their foot and to go upstairs, and they can get balancing that direct to their account. This is the way we can think in our countries through our government. Thank you.
Thank you. In a moment, I want to go to the audience and find out if any of you have any questions. But once again, last but not least, thank you for your patience, Stefan.
Okay.
Try something new, some new piece of information for
Okay,
you.
so some new piece of information for everybody. So I'll focus a little bit on what we do, because it's fairly new in the region, totally new in the UAE. You know, when we started Etihad, the objective, the projects that we do are, we use the model that is called energy performance contracting, where the principle is that the savings that you generate will over time repay the initial investment that was needed to make to get those savings. And when we started, a lot of people told us, well, not sure it's going to work in Dubai, prices of electricity are much lower than in other parts of the world, the paybacks are going to be too long on the buildings, and so it was a big question mark, would this model work here? And so we started 2 projects last year, and we just announced last week the result of those 2 projects. And we were very pleased, because we got on one project that is related to retrofitting 7 buildings, so 7 buildings of DIWA, so the electricity company in Dubai. We're saving 31% of the electricity spent in their buildings. So that's 1/3 of their bill that is going to be saved, which, you know, people were not expecting we would get more than 20-25%. We're getting to 31%. The other project is also for DIWA. They have given us all their power stations. So they have huge power stations. So we didn't look into the power station because it's really too complicated for us. But when we assessed those power stations, we found that they have a lot of lights, it's a huge areas with a lot of lights that were used. So we decided to launch a project just to retrofit the lights there, 8,500 lights that are all being retrofitted to LED lights. So it's indoor and outdoor. And they're going to make 68% saving on the electricity consumed there. So it's a huge saving for them. So we are pretty pleased, because it shows that here the model that is used a lot in Germany, in the US, can work also in the UAE, and this is new for the UAE. I mean, it's something that we're very confident now that we can continue, and we have many other projects that we are launching at the moment that will be following the same example.
Congratulations. If electricity prices are low here, then the payback period must be longer. Is that right? And so, yeah, one question, is that right? And then what payback period do you find customers are willing to accept in your projects?
In those 2 projects, so the lighting project, the payback is 3.5 years, so it's pretty short. The building project is a little bit longer, because it's 6 years, but the idea was to also make a significant investment as part of the project, because in the case of one of the buildings, there was a huge chiller plant that was end of life and that needed to be replaced. So the investment of this chiller plant is included into the project, and we get to a 6-year payback, which is not bad. And I think that's the limit that we are putting here. I know in Europe you can go to 10 years, 15 years payback. That's something that is accepted. Here, 6 years would be probably the limit at the moment, and we just did show that it's possible, so it's pretty good.
I know we have a lot of expertise in the audience. Is there anybody who would like to ask a question? Yes, sir. And if you'd identify yourself, please.
I am Mohammed Najm from Dubai Municipality. My question is to Mr. Hiller. He talked about the cooling system and the refrigeration. I've been hearing that EU is considering to shift from freon gas, which is currently non-friendly to environment, and cooling factor is higher compared to going back to the old ammonia gas, which has almost zero footprint and higher energy, efficiency. It's like each unit will give you 5 units of cooling. Could you shed some light on that, which will drastically is expected to bring the cost of energy down?
I'll disappoint you. I don't think I can. The individual technologies are not my field in the cooling field. What I look at are business models that actually work with varying technologies in specific markets, and then standardization. That's what we did for West Africa. So I only heard half of the question, but that half I can't answer.
I'm getting a signal that we're out of time. Do we have time for another question or no? Okay, we got permission for one. I see 2 hands. I'm going to take the prerogative and have each of you ask a question, please, and then we'll get a quick answer and then we'll go. So the woman here in this row and then the man in the back.
My name is Agatha Twaire. I am a journalist from Uganda. My question goes to whoever can answer it among the panelists. The question of energy efficiency. I would like to know from the experts how much we are likely to benefit from using energy efficiency measures. How is it going to benefit us? How much are we going to see in terms of supply, increase, and access, and cost? Or how much are we losing now because of poor energy efficiency? Thank you.
That's a great question and a big question. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask the gentleman in the back, please.
Sure. Thank you very much, and thanks to an excellent panel. I had a question to Mr. Torsten Herden, because I think Germany already today is one of the most energy efficient countries in the world. Could you share just a few thoughts and maybe some numbers on how much more could you actually achieve? I think that would be quite interesting. And I think to the gentleman over here, I can just confirm that EU will phase down HFC gases for refrigerants in the future and replace it with CO2 and ammonia.
So Director General, maybe you could answer this question and also the excellent question about overall opportunities, and then we're going to have to wrap up.
Yeah, we have in Germany a clear goal, which was just confirmed this December, and that means that we will save another 20%. We have completely decoupled energy consumption from growth. So whilst we are growing, whilst our industry is growing, we are going down with the energy consumption. So, and our goal is 20%, as I said, in total consumption. Perhaps to give you one example, because you said we are a very energy efficient community. We are addressing industry by a mean which is done, for instance, by Stefan as an ESCO on another way, where we say we know that US industry consider everything above 3 years payback period as not relevant to take action, because it's not your core business and you put your money in your core business. So we are just currently developing an instrument where you can get the gains, the energy efficiency, perhaps 8, 10, 12, 13 years, and we put that in liquidity, which is not in the credit line of the company. That is something where the state has to make a guarantee, something like that. But if we succeed that way, that we say it's not in your credit line of the company, but you can pay back this credit, which is not in your line, with the efficiency gains of the past. That would be a big step, and then we would have a huge potential. I'm pretty sure that we can even achieve more than 20%.
Well, thank you. I want to end with two thank yous. First, I want to thank our sponsors at Masdar, the organizers of this panel, the people who kept us going, and in particular, His Excellency Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber for his leadership in pulling together this panel and this conference. And then, second, would you please join me in giving a big hand to our tremendous panelists.